I am honored to introduce our distinguished guest, Representative Sia Alonto Adjong from Lanao del Sur, 1st District, Chairman, House Ad Hoc Committee on Marawi Rehabilitation and Victims Compensation, Representative Jude Asidre of Tingog Party List, Chairman, House Committee on Overseas Workers Affairs, Cagayan de Oro City, 1st District, Representative Lordan G. Suwan, and the Co-Bicol Party List, Representative Raul Angelo Gil D. Bongalon, House Assistant Majority Leader. Before we begin our question and answer segment, we will allow our honorable guests to give their short opening remarks.
Tinuro agad ako. Anyway, good morning to everyone. Looking forward for a meaningful press con today. So again, good morning.
Isa Bendaño from Umali from GMA DCWB.
Hello po, good morning. I have two questions lang po. Anyone could answer po. First question, ano po yung reaction ninyo sa ginawa po or decision ng Senate na i-adopt yung House version ng OVP budget? And second question, meron po kasing suggestion yung Senate Finance Committee na deletion or tanggalin po yung pong ACA program. Yung po yung flagship program po, di ba, ni Speaker Romualdez. Thank you po.
Yeah, good morning. Unang-una sa lahat, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Pangalawa, as a sponsor, alam ko yung na-experience po ng Senate ngayon when they were asking for the documents. In fact, it would be hard, I guess, on my counterpart in the Senate is si Senator Grace Poe. She's actually also leading the subcommittee on finance, no, covering the budget proposal of the Office of the Vice President. And according to the news, and I read the news, according to her, she's been asking for certain documents. So it will be really difficult, and I feel for her because it really is difficult for a sponsor to really defend the proposed budget kung walang coordination ang ahensya na dinidepensa mo. So again, it really kasi these are all ongoing services provided by the SWD, DOH. So yun po yung naging primary consideration ng House of Representatives. In this, with this recent development from the Senate, it validates the Committee on Appropriations proposal to realign these fundings. So we welcome it, on the part of the House of Representatives, and perhaps I can speak for the rest of my colleagues here. And as a sponsor, it really validates, it gives credence to the decision of the House of Committee on Appropriations na ma-realign itong 733, the 1.2 billion pesos na in-realign po natin sa mga ahensya na nagbibigay ng mga parehong serbisyo po. Thank you.
If I may add, I'm sure the Honorable Zia is very modest not to say this, but let me say it for the record. It also vindicates the stance taken by the Honorable Zia being the sponsor of the budget of the Office of the Vice President. Kasi alam naman natin, medyo binabati ko siya na remiss siya sa pag-defend ng budget ng Office of the Vice President. Pero nakita natin dito, kahit maging sa Senado, patuloy pa rin na iniiwasan ng opisina ng tanggapan ng Pangalawang Pangulo ang pag-defend ng kanilang budget sa tama at saktong pamamaraan. At nakabahala po na merong isang tanggapan ng ating pamahalaan is very deserving that the branch of our government finds itself above the processes, established processes ng ating gobyerno, lalong-lalo na sa usapin ng pagbalangkas ng national budget. At dapat siguro kasama yung mga kasama ko sa Kongreso ay gusto lang natin ma-scrutinize ng tama. Kasi hindi ito pera ng Office of the Vice President, pera po ito ng taong bayan.
If I may just add, as a Vice Chairperson also of the Committee on Appropriations, so the adoption of the Senate on the budget of the Office of the Vice President is just really a confirmation that we did in lower house is just a result of a work that is fair, and there's nothing about politics here. So nakita naman po natin sa mga pagdinig sa mga committee deliberations ng Committee on Appro that we gave sufficient time for the OVP to attend, as well as to produce documents in support to their proposed budget for fiscal year 2025. And I would just like to emphasize also that the 1.2 billion was not reduced, it was realigned in the main agencies such as the Department of Health, including the Department of Social and Welfare Development, and because these are the primary agencies whose task is primarily to give social services. So with that, again, it's a vindication on the part of the sponsor. We waited for so long. He was originally scheduled on Monday, if I'm not mistaken, and then he waited until the wee hours of the morning of Tuesday, but no officials from the Office of the Vice President appeared. So with that, kumbaga, ito yung resulta na yung trinabaho po dito ng Kongreso ay may mga sapat na basihan at hindi po ito resulta ng pamumulitika lamang gaya ng mga binabato po sa amin. So yun po.
Konting addition lang po. Na I can remember that time yung si Kong Zia na medyo frustrated talaga siya and he looked very stressed out kasi I saw that he was really sincere in wanting to defend the budget of the Vice President. And I remember na sinabi niya na nag-try talaga siyang mag-reach out para meron naman tayong something to work with. And with what happened in the Senate in reaffirming the proposal of or the version of the House, I think that we can't blame the Senate and we can't blame Kong Zia. He has done his part and we have done our part, and I wish we could have done more. Yun lang po. Kasi it's very hard to work with something pag wala tayong, if there's nothing to work with.
Regarding naman sa AKAP, though, we respect the recommendation of the Senate, but nonetheless, would like to invite lang our Senate to just look at the results of what has been done in the past months that we have been implementing the Ayuda sa Kapos sa Kita program ng DSWD. Kita ho natin ang konting halaga ay malaking ginhawa sa ating mga kababayan, lalong-lalo na yung mga nasa, sabihin na lang natin, nasa yung sakto lang yung kinikita at merong konting tulong na naipapaabot. Yun naman din, on the macro, nakita natin that the indications with regards to the stronger purchasing power of our middle class o stronger purchasing power ng ating mga nasa laylayan, nakatulong din sa pagpapalakas at ng papasigla ng ating mga lokal na ekonomiya, and the macro effects, the effects on the macro economy cannot be denied. So I hope that our senators will go beyond the noise of the issue but rather look at the program on its own merits, no? Kasi sayang naman at sabi kung meron lang naman silang counter suggestion, sana hindi yung pag-alis kundi pagtingin kung paano natin mas may improve pa ang implementation, o di kaya kung merong kabalikat na programa. Wag naman nating hayaan na mawala sa mga tao itong tulong na ginagawa natin kasama ang layunin ng ating Speaker Martin Romualdez at ng ating Pangulong may palapit ang gobyerno sa ating mga kababayan.
Mas may dadagdag lang ako noon ng konti, no? Kasi ako naniniwala ako, and I hope many of us also share this belief na the Bagong Pilipinas, one of the thrusts of the Bagong Pilipinas is to bring the services of the government closer to the people. Yung sinabi po ni Congressman Jude, no? I think we should not assign a certain program to a particular individual or sitting official. I think we have to look at it on the overall purpose and the objective of this program. Para sa akin, for the past several months that we have been doing a lot of series of Bagong Pilipinas Service of Fair, nakita natin yung resulta nung magandang resulta and benefits na nabibigay nito. And ultimately, one of the main attraction, no, sinasabi natin, and main services na binibigay ng Bagong Pilipinas Service of Fair is yung AKAP program. Dire-diretso po yan nabibigay sa ating mga indigent and qualified beneficiaries. So I guess ultimately, kung titingnan po natin ang budget, sapat yung budget, apart from the operation of our bureaucracy, it also needs to have in the budget a services that is aligned specifically to the needs of the public and the people. So, at ako naniniwala ko nung dapat kung hindi natin to i-continue at gusto natin maiba, dapat tama yung sinabi ni Kong Jude. It has to be improved from the one that we are having right now. And I think yung based on the current setup ng AKAP program, I think it's doing a lot rather than doing negative things.
Follow up na lang din po, Congressman Jill can answer po kasi kayo po yung member ng APRO, di ba? Vice Chair po kayo. May balak po ba kayong ilaban to sa Bicameral Conference Committee, yung AKAP program po?
For my comment about that, personally, I support the program of AKAP, Ayuda para sa mga Kapos ang Kita program. The essence of having this program, kung makikita po ninyo, if we have program for the poorest of the poor, which is the 4-piece program, we should also have programs for those individuals who are minimum wage earners. Bakit? Kasi po yung programang ito ay nakatuon po para sa kanila. Kasi kung ano man pong kaharapin nila na krisis, gaya po sa amin sa Bicol Region, ay tinamaan po kami na nasalanta po ang aming rehiyon, no? Dito pong severe tropical storm na Christine. So, weeks before that storm, nagkaroon po ng payout sa amin. So, malaki yung bagay, yung pera or yung financial na asistensya, natanggap po nila. At hindi po sila basta-basta na lamang magdedepende sa mga relief operations ng gobyerno at ng mga private sectors. So, I guess that would be a factor that should be considered na dapat result-oriented ho tayo. And if there is a call for deletion of this program, I guess, although I respect that opinion, but siguro mas tignan na lang po muna nila yung aspeto, yung naging resulta nitong programa bago sila magpanukala na ito po ay tanggalin. Kasi malaking tulong po ito sa atin pong mga kababayan. In fact, yung iba nagsasabi, hindi naman ito nakakabuti kasi tinuturuan yung maging tamad yung tao. Pero hindi po yun ang nagiging realidad. Kasi ang mga beneficiary po nito ay mga trabahante. Dati nang may trabaho. Kailangan lang nila ng konting pinansyal na ayuda galing po sa gobyerno. And this is what we are doing right now. We're just giving their rightful share from the taxes. Kasi sinasabi nila, pera ng taong bayan yan. And therefore, ibigay natin. Sa paanong paraan? Gaya nitong ganitong programa. Ayuda para po sa kanila. So, with that, for me, as the member of the Committee on Appropriations, I fully support the program of ACAP of DSWD. And if there will be a chance to give much allocation or higher allocation, I will move for that.
Pangad lang po. Yung AKAP kasi hindi naman siya whimsical yung pagbibigay or hindi naman siya whimsical na program or arbitrary. Kasi based on data din siya eh. Yung mga taong binibigyan natin ay nasa mga low income earners and we know that a substantial number of Filipinos belong to this demographic. So hindi naman siya political, may strategic reason naman siya. It's a response to this situation na marami talaga sa atin ang low income earners.
Madadagdag ko lang, it's very important for coming from a marginalized, I mean, as far as yung sinasabi ni Congressman Suan, yung data on the households ng mga low-income earners. I think coming from one of the considers one of the poorest regions in the country, kailangan nakakatulong ho yun sa aming mga constituency. And this is how we look at it because the ACAP program goes directly to the communities. Kami po dito magkatabi kami ni Kong Lord Dansuan from Mindanao. And alam po natin dyan sa may mga communities dyan sa Mindanao na talagang apart from the having a substantial number of families with low-income earners, mayroon pong mga conflict-affected areas. And I'm speaking about the areas from my constituency na kailangan ng direct assistance na binibigay. So ACAP does that. It does exactly that.
Salamat po.
Rosalie Cos from UNTV. Mela Lismoras from PTV4.
Hi, good morning po mga kong. Unahin ko lang po yung kahapon sa pagdinig ng House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability. Marami tayong mga issues na na-raise, maraming mga revelation ulit. At si Kong Luis Tro, nabanggit niya kahapon kung bakit sa tingin niya si Vice President Sara Duterte ay liable for malversation and breach of public trust. Kayo po ba, do you agree? And ano po kaya yung implikasyon nito?
Alam mo, wala na siguro mas konkretong panuntunan ng tiwala sa gobyerno kung paano i-handle ng gobyerno, paano gagamitin, sa tama ba o sa tamang pamamaraan ang pera ng taong bayan. I don't think there is no more measurable way of determining public trust than the use of public funds. And considering the nature and the apparent culpability as well as the amount involved, I would tend to agree with Congresswoman Luistro that this is indeed malversation of public funds if proven. And if so, I would concede that it really amounts to betrayal of public trust. Now, what does it mean to us? Ayaw kong pangunahan yung mga kasamahan ko sa Kongreso, but I think the facts are clear for everyone to see.
Ako'y dadagdag ko lang doon sa sinabi ni Congressman Jude. So far po, no, yun po yung reason kung bakit up to now, the Committee on Good Government has been asking certain individuals from the Office of the Vice President to appear before the committee. Because a lot of the reason why we're holding the committee is for us at lalong ultimately the public na maklarify yung mga ganitong klaseng usapin at allegation. And for us, for the public to be able to have a clarification on certain matters in relation to the utilization of this, say for example, confidential funds, no? Tapos the refusal and persistent refusal to appear before the committee on good government speaks on the way Congressman Luistro has labeled it as malversation of public funds. Kasi there's no way for the public and for the committee to really at least have a semblance of answers and answers to be enlightened, no? Kung hindi po sila patuloy po silang hindi mag-appear. So kung ito po yung paraan kung paano sila sumagot doon sa mga allegations nila. Mga allegations na tsaka mga testimonies na nanggagaling po mismo sa mga empleyado ng Department of Education, no? Talagang ang magiging mabubuo na perception ng hindi lang po ang mga members ng Committee on Good Government, even the public, ang bubuo po talaga ng perception at yung understanding ng publiko is really there's really a malversation of public funds, and thus the office of the Vice President has the moral responsibility and obligation to explain it not only to the committee but to the general public.
Opo. Other topic naman po, since nalalapit na, ramdam na yung nasimoy ng election for Congressman Lord Dansuan naman, may na-deliver nyo dun sa privilege speech nyo, yung pagdami ng mga botante sa ilang lugar sa bansa, even dun nga sa inyong distrito. Sa inyong can you further elaborate po? At ano po yung nakikita nyo ritong solusyon? Lalo na't malapit na yung eleksyon, paano po ito makaka-apekto?
Sa city po namin, sa Cagayan de Oro, may increase of 21,000 new voters sa isang barangay lamang. At itong 21,000 new voters ay isang 54% increase ng voters in just a few months. So yung voters namin sa isang barangay, yan yung pinakamalaking barangay, 39,000. Biglang nadagdagan ng 21,000 new voters. And out of the 21,000 new voters, 11,000 of these are coming from the other district. And may mga reports po tayong nakukuha na news ngayon last year sa barangay elections na may massive vote buying in Cagayan de Oro City. And then even after that, pagkatapos ng election, the mayor himself made statements publicly na kung gusto nyong ipagpatuloy yun, pumunta kayo, mag-register kayo sa Barangay Carmen, yung may increase ng 21,000 new voters. So, it's logical to believe na itong anomalous increase ay dahil doon sa mga nangyari sa barangay elections. And meron namang nagsasabi na natural na tumataas yung mga number of voters every registration. Pero pag sinasabi nating 5%, yan yung natural, 5% increase. Pero kung sinabi nating 54% increase, iba na talaga yun. Lalo na, excuse me, lalo na pag may reports na some barangay officials are using the barangay certificate as a means for this massive influx of new voters. Tapos, I think that we as citizens should be vigilant in making sure that this increase in the number of new voters is not exploited for electoral advantage. And I myself am standing for transparency and accountability, as every vote should represent a legitimate voice in Cagayan de Oro City. There's no space for electoral manipulation in our democratic process, and I am calling for an investigation to hold those people accountable, because we must enforce fairness and protect the credibility of our elections. 21,000 people ang nag-transfer. Sabi nga ni COMELEC chairman, may gold rush bang nangyayari dyan sa barangay na yan? It's incredibly anomalous.
Opo. Sorry, last question na lang po for Kong Jill Bongalon. Kong, kasi ngayong araw, nasa Albay rin si Pangulong Marcos para bilang bahagi pa rin ng pagtulong dun sa mga nasalanta ng bagyo. Kayo po, ano po masasabi nyo rito? At sa atin, ano pa yung mga nakikita nating measures para mas ma-improve pa yung flood mitigation ng pamahalaan bilang tugon nga dito sa mga bagyong ito?
Yes, ngayong araw po ay nandun po si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. Bumisiti po siya sa probinsya ng Camarines Sur at probinsya ng Albay para mamahagi po ng asistensya. No? Ito po yung Presidential Assistance to Farmers, Fisher Folks and Families. Of course, if you can remember, last Monday, I also delivered my privilege speech, no, wherein I narrated the effects of the Typhoon Christine as well as remedial legislations na nakikita po natin. Unang-una, yung kung paano kalang batas na maglagay po ng mga permanente na mga evacuation center sa lahat ng syudad at munisipyo na kung saan in a few weeks or in a few days time ay pipirmahan na rin po at magiging ganap ng batas. At nagpapasalamat po tayo sa liderato ng House of Representatives, kay Speaker Martin Romualdez at sa ating pong Pangulo dahil suportado po nila ang panukalang batas na ito. Pangalawa, yung ito pong panukalang batas na ayusin ang NDRRMC, the whole system itself, upang yung Quick Response Fund or yung QRF na tinatawag ay talagang magamit natin ng agaran sa pangangailangan po ng ating mga kababayan na nasalanta ho ng bagyo. Pangatlo, yung pong panukalang batas na maglalagay po ng mga stockpile or ito pong mga kailangan ng mga food items or non-food items para po sa magiging apektadong pamilya nito pong mga kalamidad, meron na pong nakalaan or nakareserba sa kada or sa bawat munisipyo, probinsya at syudad. Dahil ang nangyari po dito sa Bicol Region, dumating po lahat ng tulong galing po sa iba't ibang ahensya ng gobyerno. Ang nangyari lang, dito po sa parte ng San Fernando at Milaor ng Camarines Sur ay binaha po ng husto. At hindi po nakatawid yung mga trucks na may dala-dala ng mga food items at non-food items na pangangailangan po ng ating mga kababayan na nasalanta. So therefore, we're asking our colleagues as well as our counterpart, which is the Senate, na to prioritize this legislation in order to address the gaps in addressing the needs of our people as victims of these calamities.
Thank you very much po.
Thank you. Next question is from Rosalie Cas of UNTV.
Hi, Kongs. Good morning po. Mag-shift lang po ako sa Quadcom dahil po mag-10 public hearing na po tomorrow. Are you still doubtful or hopeful na haharap po si dating Pangulong Duterte given the turn of events, and recently he said na kung iimbitahan siya ng Kamara sa hiwalay na pagdinig, depende raw po sa kalusugan niya kung makakadalo siya. And naniniwala po siya na sapat na raw yung nasabi niya po sa Senate Blue Ribbon Subcommittee. Your thoughts on this po?
Una sa lahat, ano ko ba sasagutin kasi depende, maraming depende kay President Duterte. Depende sa kalusugan niya, depende. It's like this. We stand by the House's, especially the committee's duty to examine, to investigate all these things, and we enjoin all the witnesses, all the resource person to make themselves available. Kasi ang katotohanan naman ang pinag-uusapan dito, katarungan para sa mga naging biktima ng AJK, pag-resolve ng issue tungkol sa drug war noong nakaraang administrasyon. Hindi po ito korte, katulad po ng sinasabi namin, pero ito po yung mahalagang bahagi ng ating collective na pagnanais na marisolba, mabigyan ng, makamtan natin ng katotohanan kung ano talagang nangyari and to hold people accountable. Malaking bagay po yun. At si Pangulong Duterte, bilang Pangulo nung panahon yun, ay napakalaki sana ng kanyang maitutulong. Alam mo, minsan hindi ko na alam kung kailan siya nagjo-joke o hindi. But you see, the former president appearing before the committee should not be in the business of making jokes. This is no laughing matter. The lives lost is not a joking matter. And I hope that if ever, hindi ko na lang isipin kung darating siya o hindi, pero sakasakaling dumating siya, I hope he gives it the same seriousness and the same attention that the issue deserves, no? Hindi naman ito tungkol, sana wala na lang yung drama, sagutin na lang ng maayos at direkta, at tumulong na lang ho kung naniniwala naman ho siya sa kanyang posisyon, malahad ho ito ng maayos sa komite, at hayaan din po ang komite na ikonsidera kung paano po ang pagtanggap, ang pag-appreciate sa magiging testimonya ng dating Pangulo. Pero ang sana ho, hindi ito din po mangyari yung nangyari sa Senado, kundi maging mas maayos ang proceedings na gagawin po sa House of Representatives, sa Quadcom, at we expect the full cooperation of the former President. Lahat po ng naging dating Pangulong pinatawag ng Kongreso, maayos po na humarap, maayos po na sumagot, maayos po na nagbigay ng testimonya. Bakit po magiging iba si President Duterte?
Dagdag lang ako doon, no? Ako bilang isang miyembro po ng Quadcom, I am still optimistic that President Duterte will come and join us sa hearing po ng Quad Committee. Dahil pinakita niya po ito, no, when he went and attended the Senate hearing. If he attended the Senate investigation, the same investigation that we're also conducting, there's no, for me, if you ask me, there's no reason for the former president not to attend the House Quad Committee. Pangalawa, pero ito lang po yung we can assure the public na sana, kasi yun po yung hopeful po tayo. That's why yun ang ini-invite po natin siya na makadalo po siya para matulungan po niya tayo kung paano intindihin talaga yung naging implementasyon nung war on drugs nung kapanahunan po niya. Remember, ito po yung pet project po, no? Kung if you consider that, yung trust talaga ng administration niya, para maintindihan natin mas lalo the implementation, how it was implemented during his time. But what we can assure the public is, dito po sa Quad, we give primacy on the way the committee deliberation is being handled. Ibig sabihin, we really are serious in upholding decorum, proper decorum, in every committee hearings that we conduct here in the House of Representatives. We will not allow anybody or anyone to make a very serious matter, turn it into, and trivialize that and make it as a joke. That number two, we will not allow anyone or anybody to swear or to curse, especially if we're talking about lives lost and the implementation of a state policy. So yun lang po, we can assure that hopefully if he attends the Quad Committee, medyo seryoso po yung pag-usapan natin, at we will go down on details. So very important po yung kanyang participation po sa magiging susunod na mga Quad Committee hearings.
I'm hoping that the former president will attend. I think the entire nation is waiting for him to attend. Kasi para sa akin personally, mas maganda kung marinig natin galing kay former president mismo, at maraming mga bagay na pwede pa niyang ma-shed light regarding the entire thing. And I would hope that if he ever attends, that he would not prefer the comfort of admiration over the challenge of accountability.
Well, if I would just add, I'm not just hoping that he will attend, I'm also hoping that he will participate well in the deliberation of the Quadcom. He has nothing to worry because proper decorum will always be observed. And of course, somehow he will be treated also, some leniency, because as being a former president, due courtesy will also be given to him. If he wants to be subjected to questions, he will be on the first line of the resource persons to be questions, and after which, pwede na po mag-exit. So, having said that, there are still questions left unanswered, especially in the implementation of the war on drugs. People until now are seeking for justice, especially the victims of the EGK. So I guess once and for all, we're really hoping that he will attend, because yung magiging testimonya po ni Pangulong Duterte dito ay malaki po yung papel, at this will answer all the questions na kailangan po mabigyan ng linaw, hindi lamang po para sa taong bayan, pati po mismo doon po sa pamilya ng mga biktima po ng EGK.